Hello everyone, welcome back to the third session of the concept product of building and structures. And today's session we will focus on three major aspects of the product development aspects. In the first consideration is production planning. This production planning we can also call it as process planning. Then we'll have idea of product data technology. In that product data technology we have one more important consideration that is called workflow technology. So let us discuss one by one. Let us starting with the first consideration, that is production planning. We can also call it as process planning. The same process planning as well as the concept which is implemented in production systems. You already came across all these aspects and you have concentrated more on these aspects in computer integrated manufacturing, where we'll be having the different process planning processes. Similarly, we'll be implementing the consideration of computers. So one of the planning which we are going to make in order to modify the process with the help of computers, we have taken computer aided process planning systems. So in this computer aided process planning system we can also represent CAPP approach. We have two basic considerations. You have two basic approaches in computer aided process planning. One is variant type of computer aided process planning approach. The second one is generative type of computer aided process planning approach. We will focus on both these two approaches. What is the consideration you're going to make in order to make a proper planning in the production systems, because we are focusing on the product building as well as structure. So in order to make a proper structure you need to have a better planning, you need to have a better idea. So in order to implement the plannings as well as the ideas, what step you will going to take, that also play a major role. So that's why in this computer aided process planning we will be focusing on two approaches, starting from variant and generative. So we will just see what happens in the case of variant type of computer aided process planning approach. So we mentioned this is a first approach which is used to computerize the planning techniques. So whatever the planning you have, that you need to upgrade it or implement it with the help of computers. You'll be taking the considerations, you'll be maintaining the steps in a sequential manner. And in this type of variant type of computer aided process planning is based on the notion that similar part will have the similar process plan. Whatever the consideration you will be taking in order to manufacture the product, you need to have a separate parts. So maintaining of the part is also very important consideration, and each part supposed to have a proper sequential process plan, and it should be maintained, or that should be considered with the consideration of part coding and classification, which is based on the group technology, which are used to implement for this particular concept. So in this type of variant CAPP approach, a standard plan is formulated initially, and after that each formulation will be stored for each part families. And we have certain advantages which is encountered with the help of a variant type of computer aided process planning approach. So let us discuss about the advantages. If I talk about the advantages, once the standard plan has been written, a variety of components can be planned. Initially you'll be having a standard plan that you're going to mention it. Once the standard plan is ready, then we can concentrate on variety of the component which is considered for the process. And also we can consider the different aspects in the case of programming, in the case of installation, and whatever the programming you're going to do and whatever the installation process you're going to implement in variant type of computer aided process planning, which are comparatively simple. The system is understandable and the planner has control over the final plan. So whatever the process you're going to proceed, that is very simple, and we can understand the sequence of the flow, what you will going to plan for the final plan, and which is very easy to learn and which is very easy to use as compared to other type of process planning techniques. Now we will talk something about the second approach called a generative type of computer aided process planning system. So in generative type of computer aided process planning, which involves the creation of a process plan from information available in a manufacturing database without human intervention. So here also we can clearly make a planning by taking the available data which is used for the manufacturing process. By taking the data, we will going to consider, we will going to make the proper plan without considering the human intervention. Upon receiving the design model, the system is able to generate the required operations and operation sequence for the component. Initially, we mentioned we are planning for the systematic approach, or we are planning in such a way that you supposed to maintain the sequence of the flow in a standard way. So, in order to achieve that, you will be having certain set of models, and you will be having certain set of systems, and this system is able to generate the required operations and whatever the operational sequence you are going to follow for the component. And if you consider the concept of generative type of computer aided process planning, where we can make out the three major components, and these three major components are divided as three steps, initially starting from part description, second one manufacturing databases, third one decision making logic and algorithm. So we have taken the production planning systems. This production planning systems, we can also justify it as process planning. That means we need to have a proper plan in order to proceed with the sequential process. So we have taken the consideration of generative type of computer aided process planning system. We already mentioned there is three main components. Initially we need to describe the part what you're going to proceed, for what part you'll be making a proper planning. After that, you need to consider different manufacturing database which is taken without human intervention. And finally, after considering the part description, after considering the manufacturing database, you need to make a proper decision making considerations with the help of some logics as well as algorithms. Now, if I talk about the advantages of a generative type of computer aided process planning approach, this process plan are generated rapidly, one thing. And here new component can be planned without relying on previous similar parts. There is no interconnection. We can generate the new component and which can be planned without relying or relating with the previous similar parts. There is potential for integrating with automated manufacturing facilities to provide detailed objective control information. So we can have wide range of advantages. We have given it in a sequential manner, and whenever it is necessary we'll be applying, or we'll be approaching with the, any type of the approaches of computer aided process planning systems. Now we will move on to another concept called product data technology. So product data technology, before going to start this product data technology, let me explain something about product data management, which we have already discussed, which we have already studied in module 1. Product data management, we can also consider it as PDM. Why we require this data? Because data are very essential part in order to develop a product. So in order to develop a product, you need to manage the data, you need to maintain the data in a proper way. So for that you will be having different management steps, we will be having different technologies. So by implementing this technology, we can maintain or can manage the product data in order to develop a product. So this product data technology play an important role as an enabling technology for process support in engineering organization, whatever the organization if you take. So there are various considerations, there are various techniques we are going to adopt in PDT, stands for product data technology. In that one technology, if I talk means I can take as workflow technology. Workflow technology, we can also consider it as WFT. It is an alternative solution that would possibly provide process management support for product engineering. Initially we have justified that why we will going to consider, for what purpose we need to implement this kind of workflow technology. It is an alternative solution that would possibly provide process management support for the product engineering, which will be mainly maintaining as a process which will be managed in a sequential manner to support for a product engineering. So this workflow technology organized from business process re-engineering initiatives and has proven applications in office process automation. So we can also mention this technology of workflow, which is originated from the business processes, different business processes, and we have a consideration of re-engineering initiatives, and we have also taken the different applications in office process automation, which is interrelated to each other. So workflow which is not only depending on one particular instant. If you take any product which consisting of different parts, so maintaining of this part is very essential in order to get the output. Whatever the input you are going to give, that is also very important. So in order to get the final product, what are all the different parts you will be having? So in order you will be having the part, in order to connect interconnection between all these parts, managing of all these parts are also very essential. A typical workflow management system is capable of routing information on the basis of a predefined process. So, how the workflow management system can be performed? There is a basic predefined process assigning the activities to appropriate persons in an organization and starting the appropriate tools for activity execution. So there are various activities which we are going to consider. So initially we'll be having the basis of predefined process. After that need to assign the different activities, and while assigning activities also you need to choose the appropriate person which is involved in the organization, and after assigning the activities to the appropriate person in an organization, need to concentrate on the tools, appropriate tools. Selection of tooling is also very essential for activity execution. And in this particular workflow technology, we can also have some of the limitations. And if I talk about the limitations, that offers only limited capabilities for interaction and working with candidate solution for the same problem in the same process. See, I can also mention there are different drawbacks which is also encountered in the process. So whatever the flow you can take, whatever the technology we can take, there will be a lot of drawbacks, but whatever the drawback you're going to encounter, which is, it should not affect your final output. That is very important. So this is all about the concept of process planning. This is all about the consideration of product data technology, which is all about the consideration of workflow technology. Thank you.